Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. In the previous video, we discussed about the output decorator that enables us to send data from the child component to the parent component. In this video, we are going to talk about the view child decorator. The view child decorator enables us to get access to the components, directives, or even the template reference variables. The contents of the view child decorator are not initially rendered. They are rendered after the view has been initialized or the change detection runs. So first of all, we will create two components in which one will be the header, the home component, and the other will be the card component. ngg card, nggc card, and another component which will be home. Now our home component will be our parent component. So now we will go to the card component, and inside here we will declare any property like name of type string is equal to card. Now if we want to get this property from our home component, then we can use the view child decorator. Now inside here we will have to use the view child decorator, and inside here we will say the home component or the card component, and inside this we will say the card component or any name you like, and this will be of type card component. Now as I already told you that the contents of the view child decorators are not initially rendered, so we will have to use the ng after view init lifecycle hook to get access to the properties of that component. So it will trigger like ng after view init. So I will have to implement it, and inside the ng after view init we will say this dot card component dot name. Now we will console it, and inside the home component we will say app card component, and inside our app component we will comment this, and inside here we will say app home component. And now we will go to the browser and let's see what happens. So now here is the code works. So now this is the property coming from the child component of the home, which is the card component. Now this is one example of the view child decorator, which is like it has used the component to get access to another component. We can also use the template reference variables to get access to those. Like here we will say div, inside here we will declare any template reference variable like text or template, and we will write any text like here we will say hello world, and we will change its color from the view child decorator. We'll copy it, and inside our home component we will declare another view child decorator, and inside here we will get the name, which is the selector, and here we will say anything like template of type element reference, because this is the reference to the element which is like the div element. Now inside here we will say this dot template dot native element dot style dot color is equal to red. Now if we go to the browser, as you can see the hello world is now red colored because of the view child decorator, and it has set its property or its color to red. Now we can use other properties, like here we have the static property inside our view child, which gives us the ability to give to give the data initially or after the change detection runs. Now if we set it to true, or we set the static property to true, we are giving the accessibility to view child that this property from that component is accessible to any component initially. Now if we go to the browser, there is no error, like here we don't have any error, we are getting the card data from the card component. Now if we set it to false, we will say here we don't have any property, like we are giving it accessibility that we are wanting to get the data initially. Now I have used the static false property to get access to that property, like here we have the code component, inside here we have the name property. Now if we want to get the data initially of the code component when the property is set to false, or the static property is set to false, and we want to get it initially, so we'll have to use the onInit lifecycle hook to get access initially. And now if we go to the browser, you will see an error which says cannot read properties of reading name, which is undefined because the property static property is set to false, which means our data will not be rendered initially because this is set to false. Now if you have used the true property, then the error will be gone because it tells the view child decorator that we are wanting to get access to that property initially. Now we can also use the view child decorator to get access to the child directives or the directives inside our component. Inside our application. So we will create a directive like ng generate directive like anything the highlight. So now we will go inside our highlight directive and we will say anything like console.log, not here, highlight directive. And now we want to get access to this highlight directive. So now we will go to the home component, and inside here we will create another view child decorator. We will say the highlight directive, highlight of type highlight directive. So now we will, first of all, we can say anything like here highlight of type boolean is equal to false initially. For example, is equal to false. So now if we go here inside our home component, and if we want to get access to the highlight property, and we will log this. So now if we go to the browser, this is saying that the highlight property is undefined because the static property is always initially set to false. We will have to manually set it to true if we want to get it when we want to get it initially. Like here we will say true. So it didn't and do anything like. So here we will say, like, if we comment this, what happens if we, so it means the directives are not initially get inside the component. So the static property tells Angular that we want to get access to the properties or methods of that component inside our application initially, but in case of directives we don't have access to those initially. So this is how we use the view child decorator to get access to the components, directives, or even the template reference variables. In the next video, we will look at the view children directive inside our Angular application.